I spiked the eggnog with enough bourbon to drown a family of regrets, watching as my boyfriend's mother, Evelyn, sipped it primly and complimented the rustic charcuterie I'd scrounged together from the dollar store. That's when I knew the night was mine to ruin, because faking poverty wasn't just an act, it was the match I'd been nursing for 3 years, ready to light the fuse on the lie they'd buried me under. And as the first gift unwrapped to reveal a crisp $100 bill folded into a Thanksgiving card, I smiled like a saint while plotting how to drag their golden boy down with the truth I'd carried like a corpse in my chest. The snow was coming down in fat, lazy flakes outside the floor-to-ceiling windows of the Hargrove estate, blanketing the manicured lawns of Greenwich, Connecticut, in that perfect postcard hush that screams old money. I'd driven up from my cramped Brooklyn walk-up that morning, the heater in my '98 Civic wheezing like it was on its last breath, just to keep up the charade. My name's Hannah Riley, 28, with a resume that reads like a cautionary tale, barista by day, freelance graphic designer by night, and perpetual disappointment to anyone who ever bet on me. But tonight, I wasn't here to impress. I was here to excavate. It started 3 years ago, back when Jake Hargrove wasn't the trust fund prince with the easy grin and the sailboat named after his dead grandma. We met at a dive bar in the East Village, the kind where the jukebox still spins Springsteen and the beer tastes like regret. He was slumming it, he said, blowing off steam from his entry-level gig at his dad's hedge fund. I bought him a shot because his laugh cut through the smoke like sunlight, and by closing time, we were tangled in the sheets of my sublet, whispering dreams that tasted like possibility. But Jake had secrets, the kind that fester like untreated wounds. 6 months in, he confessed or half-confessed. Anyway, his sister, Lydia, the golden child, had borrowed a chunk from the family business. Not borrowed. Exactly. Stolen. Embezzled. If we're getting technical. 50 grand from client escrow accounts, funneled into her coke habit and that string of bad boyfriends who drove Porsches they couldn't afford. Jake found out, panicked, and instead of ratting her out, he covered for her. Falsified the ledgers. Pinned it on a scapegoat. Me? No. Not yet. He pinned it on some ghost account, but the heat came down hard. SEC whispers. Audits that dragged on like a bad hangover. That's when he asked me to help. Just sign this, he said, sliding a document across the diner table, his eyes all puppy dog desperate. It was a non-disclosure, buried in legalese, making me a consultant who'd verified the books. I was young, in love, and stupid enough to think loyalty was a two-way street. I signed. And when the feds circled, Jake flipped the script. Suddenly, the discrepancies traced back to my freelance invoices, the ones I'd padded at his request to make the numbers match. I took the fall. Misdemeanor fraud. Probation. A black mark on my record that killed every job interview since. Jake? He got a slap on the wrist and a promotion. Lydia? Rehab. Courtesy of Daddy's checkbook. And a fresh start in Miami. I didn't press charges. Didn't scream betrayal from the rooftops. I swallowed it, let it rot inside me, because loving Jake meant loving the whole rotten Hargrove pie. Or so I told myself. But resentment's a slow poison, and by this Christmas, our third as a couple, again, I distilled it into something sharp. Revenge. Not the cartoon kind with baseball bats and bad accents. The American Dream version, calculated, controversial, and dressed in a thrift store sweater. I'd prepped for weeks. Dyed my hair a mousy brown to hide the highlights I'd once splurged on. Packed my suitcase with faded jeans and a coat from the Salvation Army bin. Told Jake I was between gigs and tight on cash after a layoff. He bought it hook,
line,
and sympathy fuck. Babe, it's fine, he'd cooed over FaceTime. Mom and Dad will understand. They're generous like that. Generous.
Yeah.
Like wolves tossing scraps to the lame deer. The drive up was a meditation in misery. Past the Merritt Parkway's sodium-lit sprawl, where billboards hawked luxury condos and law firms promising justice for the unjustly rich. My phone buzzed with texts from my therapist, Dr. Elena, who I'd been seeing pro bono through a nonprofit. Boundaries.
Hannah.
Remember your boundaries. But boundaries were for people who hadn't signed their soul away over greasy hash browns. I cranked the radio. Let Bruce spelled out Santa Claus is coming to town like a threat. Evelyn Hargrove greeted me at the door with our kisses and a once-over that could curdle eggnog. She was all pearls and Pilates, her blonde bob helmet stiff, voice dripping that wasp honey. Hannah, darling, come in from the cold. Jake said you've had a rough patch financially. I mean, no need to dress down on our account. Her eyes flicked to my scuffed boots, the ones I'd deliberately not polished. Victor, her husband, loomed behind her like a benevolent shark, silver temples. Brooks Brothers sweater. The kind of man who golfs with senators and donates to PACs that keep the status quo humming. Jake enveloped me in a hug that smelled like cedar cologne and privilege, whispering, "You okay? They love you."
Lies.
All of it. But I played along, murmuring about tough times in the city and how I'd sold my good coat for rent. Lydia wasn't there, thank God, off in Florida, finding herself on the family dime. Dinner was a symphony of small talk, stock tips from Victor, passive-aggressive jabs from Evelyn about urban decay in Brooklyn. I nodded,
smiled,
and when they asked about my art, I shrugged. Pays the bills.
Barely.
You know how it is.
They didn't.
Not really. But as the turkey carved and the wine flowed, I watched them unwind, their guards dropping like forgotten scarves. Jake's hand on my knee under the table. A silent plea. Don't fuck this up.
Oh.
Honey, I thought. That's exactly what I'm here for. Buy dessert. Pecan pie from the caterer. Because Evelyn wouldn't be caught dead baking, I'd lace the after-dinner drinks with just enough extra kick. Bourbon in the eggnog. Rye in the scotch. Nothing lethal. Just enough to loosen tongues. Victor chuckled at my plucky stories of dodging eviction. Evelyn patted my hand and said, "Will help."
Dear. Discreetly.
Jake beamed, proud of his fixer-upper girlfriend. And me, I sipped slowly, feeling the noose I'd woven tighten around their necks. The gifts came after. A Hargrove tradition, white elephant wrapped in irony. They went around the table, each package a window into their world. Jake got monogrammed cufflinks from Victor. Evelyn unwrapped a spa voucher from Lydia, mailed in with a note about self-care. Then it was my turn. Evelyn slid the box across, her smile all teeth. For you,
Hannah.
Something to tide you over. I unwrapped it slowly, the paper crinkling like old bones. Inside, a crisp Benjamin, folded into a Hallmark card that read, "From our family to yours, Merry Christmas. Let's lift you up this season. Lift me up." Like I was some stray they'd fished from the gutter. The room went still, their eyes on me, expectant, charitable, superior. Jake shifted, uncomfortable, Victor cleared his throat. Evelyn's smile held, but her knuckles whitened on her glass. That's when I laughed. Not a polite titter, but a bark that echoed off the crystal. "Oh, Evelyn," I said, holding up the bill like a flag of surrender. "This is generous." "Really? Last time I got charity, it came with handcuffs." The words hung there, a grenade with the pin half pulled. Jake's face drained of color. Victor's brow furrowed. Evelyn's eyes narrowed, just a fraction. "Handcuffs," she echoed, voice like ice silk. "Darling, what on earth?" But I was already standing, the chair scraping back like a challenge. The snow outside had picked up, swirling against the panes like ghosts at a wake. "You remember the audit, don't you, Victor? 3 years back, when your impeccable books turned out to be a house of cards. The one where your son, my boyfriend here, asked his girlfriend to sign off on falsified invoices to cover his sister's little shopping spree." The room exploded in slow motion. Jake lunged for my arm. "Hon, stop. That's not..." But I shook him off, the Benjamin fluttering to the table like a dead leaf. Evelyn's face twisted, not in shock, but calculation. Oh, she knew. Of course she did. Victor rose, his voice a low rumble. "Young lady, this is neither the time nor..." "Time," I shot back, my voice steady as the bourbon burned in my veins. "I've waited 3 fucking years. Probation doesn't come with holiday cards, Vic. It comes with community service and a lifetime ban from anything resembling trust." The air thickened, charged like the storm outside. Jake's eyes pleaded, betrayal's echo, the same look he'd given me in that diner. But this time, I wasn't signing shit. Evelyn recovered first, ever the diplomat. "Hannah, sweetie, you're upset. Perhaps we should discuss this privately." Her hand reached for mine, but I pulled back, the card crumpling in my fist. "Privately? Like how you all discussed pinning it on me?"
Jake, tell them.
"Tell your parents how you begged me to help, how you promised it'd blow over. How when it didn't, you let the feds think I was the thief." Tears pricked my eyes, not from hurt, but rage distilled. Jake stammered. "It was Lydia."
"Mom. Dad."
"She." Victor slammed a fist on the table, crystal rattling. "Enough. Lydia's issues are family matters. You were complicit, Jacob. And you," he turned to me, eyes cold as the snowbank. "You were the outsider who got cold feet." Cold feet? I'd burned my feet to the bone for their golden boy. The argument spiraled, accusations flying like ornaments from a drunk uncle's grip. Evelyn defending her daughter, Victor protecting the empire, Jake caught in the crossfire, begging me to think of us.
Us.
As if there was still an us after he'd hung me out to dry. I grabbed my coat, the gift clutched like evidence. "Merry Christmas, Hargroves. Enjoy the pie, it's on me." The door slammed behind me, the cold slapping my face like applause. But as I crunched down the drive to my car, engine coughing to life, I felt the first real spark of freedom. This wasn't the end. It was intermission. Revenge, after all, is a gift that keeps on giving. The fallout hit like a nor'easter, whipping through the Hargrove fortress and out into the wider world before the clock struck midnight. I didn't make it far, 10 miles down I-95 before the snow turned the road to slush and my tires spun out on an overpass. Stranded. Phone dying. I called an Uber that never came and ended up huddled in a 24-hour Dunkin' off the highway, nursing a black coffee that tasted like asphalt and absolution. My hands shook, not from cold, but the adrenaline crash. I'd done it. Cracked the facade wide open, right there amid the holly and the hypocrisy. By morning, Jake's texts were a barrage. WTF, Hannah? Come back. We can fix this. Fix this. Like I was a leaky faucet, not a woman he'd sacrificed on the altar of family loyalty. I blocked him, then unblocked to send one reply. Fix your sister first. Power surged through me, bitter as the caffeine.
DR.
Elena would call it a breakthrough. I'd call it the first cut of many. Back in Brooklyn by noon, hitching a ride with a trucker who hummed carols off-key, the city embraced me like an old scar. Snow piled on fire escapes. Horns blared in minor keys, and the holiday lights strung across Bedford Avenue blinked like faulty memories. My apartment was a shoebox miracle, exposed brick, a hot plate that doubled as a shrine to ramen, and a window overlooking the G train's eternal rumble. I dropped my bag, stripped off the thrift rags, and stood under a scalding shower until the water ran cold. Clean, finally. Ready to dig deeper. The secret I'd buried wasn't just the fraud, it was the why. Lydia hadn't just dipped into the till for drugs. She'd orchestrated it, charmed the accountants, forged Jake's signatures on dummy transfers, all while batting lashes at board meetings. Jake knew, because he'd helped her cover the first time, a smaller sum from their trust funds when they were teens. Family sticks together, he'd said then, echoing Victor's mantra. But when the big one hit, Lydia vanished to Europe for soul-searching, leaving Jake to clean up. And me to take the blame. I'd kept records. Not obsessively, I'm no Lifetime movie villain, but methodically, the way a betrayed heart learns to armor itself. Emails from Jake pleading for one more favor. Screenshots of Lydia's Venmo charges to dealers masked as gifts. A thumb drive with the original ledgers, copied during a study session at their summer house in the Hamptons. I'd sat on it, telling myself it was insurance. Leverage for the day love soured. That day had come, wrapped in green ribbon. First move, the press. Not the Times, too stuffy for scandal. I aimed for the tabs, the clickbait mills that thrive on Hampton's hypocrisy. A burner email to page 6, anonymous tip, hedge fund heirs family covers embezzlement, girlfriend takes fall. Attached, redacted docs. Just enough to tantalize. By evening, my inbox lit up with feelers from reporters. Source close to the family? One asked. I smiled into the glow of my laptop. Closer than you'd think. But revenge isn't a solo act. It needs accomplices. The kind who nurse grudges like fine wine. Enter Mia, my ride or die from the probation group. Ex-con turned paralegal, with tattoos snaking up her arms and a laugh that could disarm a jury. We'd bonded over court-mandated coffee, swapping war stories of systems rigged against the little guy. Fuck 'em, she said when I spilled over takeout lo mein that night. Snow melting on the fire escape outside. Sue the bastards. Or leak it wider. What's your poison? Both, I said, clinking my plastic cup of boxed wine against hers. But slow.
Mocking switch.
Mia pulled up her network, shady lawyers who'd cut deals for less. Whistleblowers who'd toppled smaller empires. We plotted, like generals, file a civil suit for defamation and emotional distress, citing the charity gift as evidence of their gaslighting. Amplify with social media, Hashtag Hargrove hypocrisy. Seeded from fake accounts run by Mia's cousin, a digital nomad in Queens. Words spread fast in their circles. By Christmas Eve, Jake's voicemails were frantic. Mom's furious. Dad's lawyered up. Lydia's flying in. Hun, please meet me halfway. Halfway? I'd crawled on my belly for 3 years. No more. I deleted them all, then drove to my parents' in Queens for a real holiday. Mom's tree was a Charlie Brown special, lights half burnt, but the pierogies were homemade, and Dad's stories of his MTA days wrapped me like a quilt. Proud of you,
Kid, he said.
eyes misty over Schlitz. For the first time, I believed it. New Year's dawned hungover and hungry for more. The page 6 blurb dropped. Trouble in Greenwich Paradise? Hedge fund scions GF alleges cover-up in festive fallout. No names yet, but the photo was unmistakable. The Hargrove manse. Lights aglow. My Civic a blurry speck in the drive. Evelyn called from a blocked number. Voice syrup over shards. Hannah, this is beneath you. Come to the house. We'll make it right.
Right.
Like restitution for a ruined career. I agreed. Not out of weakness, but strategy. The meeting was set for Epiphany, ironic. Kings bearing gifts of gold, frankincense, and maybe a gag order. I arrived in armor, tailored blazer from a consignment shop, hair sleek, the thumb drive in my purse like a loaded gun. The estate felt smaller in daylight. The snow melted to mud, revealing the cracks in the facade. Victor waited in the study, leather chairs and brandy decanters screaming old boys club. Evelyn hovered. Lydia slouched in the corner like a hungover debutante, tanned, brittle, eyes darting like a cornered fox. Jake paced, his jaw tight. You came. Wouldn't miss the sequel. I sat, crossing my legs. So, what's the offer? Check for silence? Or do we pretend last week was a bad dream? Victor leaned forward, steepled fingers. 50,000. Clean slate. You walk away. We bury this. 50. The same amount Lydia stole. I laughed. Low and real. That's the debt I carried. Not the one I want paid. Lydia snorted bold. Or buzzed. Look, barista girl. It was business. You signed up. Barista? I turned to her. Voice velvet over steel. Funny. Coming from the cokehead who partied on pilfered funds while I scrubbed toilets on probation. Remember Ibiza? The yacht pics on your Insta? Hashtag blessed. Her face flushed, nails digging into the armchair. Evelyn intervened. Ladies, but Victor cut her off. Eyes on me. What do you want? Emmis. Riley? The fund's reputation is shit, I finished. And I'm the janitor you scapegoated. I want my name cleared. Public apology. And Lydia's head on a platter. Testify. Or I do. The room went tomb silent. Jake stopped pacing, stared at me like I'd grown horns. Lydia bolted up. You bitch. Jake grabbed her arm. But she shook free, lunging. Evelyn shrieked. Victor barked orders. Chaos. Beautiful and biblical. I stood my ground, purse clutched, as Lydia's spittle-flecked rant filled the air. You think you're better? You were nothing. Jake pitied you.
Pity.
The word landed like a slap. Jake's face crumpled. Guilt. Or grief. Hun. It's not. Save it. I backed toward the door. Heart hammering. Balls in your court. Hargroves. But tick-tock. The press gets antsy. Outside. The January wind bit deep. But I breathe free. Mia texted. Suits drafted. Ready to serve? Hell yes. The game was on, and for once, I held the cards. But as I slid into my car, a shadow crossed the dash, doubt, whispering, what if they flip it back on you? What if Jake's the victim in their script? I shoved it down. Revenge doesn't ask permission. Weeks blurred into a frenzy. The lawsuit dropped like a bomb, filed in federal court. Manhattan Division. Citing fraud. Conspiracy. Intentional infliction. Reporters swarmed the Hargrove gates. Stocks dipped half a point. Evelyn went radio silent. Victor countersued for defamation, claiming I was the embezzler all along. Jake? Crickets. Until Valentine's Day, a bouquet of wilted roses on my stoop. Note attached. I love you. Fight me.
Not them. Love.
The word mocked me as I torched them in the sink. Lydia cracked first. A leaked audio, Mia's doing, hit the dark web, her slurring confession to a dealer, naming the fund as her ATM. The family circled wagons, but the wolves smelled blood. Victor offered double, 100 grand, plus a reference to wash my record. I countered, full exoneration, or I testify.
Stalemate.
Spring teased Brooklyn with cherry blossoms and bodega deals. But my nights were sleepless, haunted by what-ifs.
DR.
Elena pushed, is this justice? Or just pain? Justice. I insisted. But deep down, the twist gnawed. Jake had flipped on me once. What if he did again? The answer came in April. A manila envelope slipped under my door. Lydia's diary. Pages dog-eared. Entries scrawled in loopy script. Jake knew.
Push me to take more.
Said it'd teach Dad a lesson. Teach a lesson. So it wasn't just cover-up, it was rebellion. Jake. The reluctant prince. Plotting patricide with his sister's help. And me, collateral in their fratricidal game. The revelation hit like vertigo. Betrayal squared. I confronted him at a neutral spot, a park bench in Prospect. Dog walkers oblivious. He looked wrecked, unshaven, eyes hollow. Han, read it all. I was going to tell you after. After what? You used me. Both of you. Wind whipped the cherry petals like confetti at a funeral. He reached for my hand. I let him. Just once. I loved you. Still do. But family. It's a noose. Then cut it. Tears stung. Hot and unwelcome. Or I will. He nodded.
Broken.
Do what you have to. I walked away. Diary burning in my bag. The climax loomed, deposition season. Truths dragged into fluorescent light. But as May bloomed, a new player emerged, Evelyn. Solo. Over chamomile at a midtown cafe. Truce, she said, lines etched deeper. Lydia's in rehab, real this time. Victor's stepping down. Let it die.
Deep.
I stirred sugar I didn't need. It killed me first. She slid a folder. Expungement papers.
Signed.
For Jake. He needs you.
Needs.
The word twisted. I signed. But not for him.
For me.
The endgame shifted, not destruction, but dissection. Let them rot from within. Summer slammed into the city like a fever dream, Humid nights where the AC wheezed defiance, and the streets pulsed with block parties and bad decisions. My lawsuit chugged along, a slow-rolling freight train of depositions and discovery demands. Mornings bled into afternoons at the courthouse, a brutalist feast in Foley Square, where the air smelled of stale coffee and shattered illusions. I'd suit up in my one good pantsuit, hair pinned like a weapon, and face the Hargrove Legal Battalion, silk-stocking sharks with JDS from Yale, billing by the breath. First up, Lydia. She slunk into the conference room like a cat with 9 lives and 0 shame, flanked by her attorney, a slick operator named Kessler who reps celebs in coke-fueled custody battles. Her eyes, bloodshot under concealer, met mine with a smirk that said, "Game on, peasant." "Hannah," she drawled, settling into the leather chair. "Still slinging lattes? How quaint." The stenographer's keys clacked like gunfire. My lawyer, a bulldog named Rosa from Legal Aid's white-collar wing, leaned in, MS.
Hargrove.
Let's dispense with the pleasantries. Did you authorize transfers from Hargrove Capital's escrow in 2022? Lydia twirled a strand of highlighted hair, the picture of bored heiress. Authorized? Honey, I suggested. Jake executed.
Boom.
The room tensed. Jake's team objected. But the damage bloomed. She spilled more. How he'd grumbled about Victor's tyranny, how the theft was payback for years of emotional neglect. Not just drugs, ideology. Class warfare from the penthouse suite. My turn came next, under the glare of fluorescence that hummed like judgment. Victor's lead. A patrician prick named Hargreaves, irony noted, grilled me. MS. Riley, you admit to signing the invoices. Weren't you compensated handsomely? Compensated. A laugh bubbled up. Bitter. Handsomely? Try evicted. Blackballed. And begging for bar shifts. Jake promised it'd be harmless admin lies. All of it. Hargreaves smirked. And your revenge at Christmas? Spiking drinks. Fabricating drama. Sounds unstable. Rosa objected. Sustained. But the seed planted. Was I the villain? The jilted lover unraveling? Reporters lurked outside. Notebooks hungry. Hargrove heiress blames brother in fraud fiasco. The Post screamed next day. Jake called, unblocked for the circus. Lydia's lying. Twisting it. His voice cracked.
Raw.
Depositions tomorrow. Back me up? Back him? After the diary's poison? Truth serum.
Jake.
That's all I got left.
Click.
His session was theater, poised. Penitent. The prodigal son scripted. I take full responsibility, he intoned, eyes downcast. Hannah was innocent. Duped. Noble. Almost. But under oath. Cracks showed. Admissions of poor judgment, hints at Victor's pressures. The old man testified last. A monolith in seersucker. Voice booming. Family errors. Corrected internally. No crime mismanagement.
Mismanagement.
50 grand vanished into ether?
Please.
Evelyn skipped the stand, settlement whispers, but cornered me in the ladies' after hours, powdering her nose like Marie Antoinette. He's breaking. Hannah. Our boy. For what? Your vendetta? Her reflections stare daggers. Drop it. Marry him. Be the family we need. Marry. The word hung. A noose disguised as tool. I was family once. You fed me to the dogs. She sighed. Theatrical. Sacrifices.
Dear.
For the greater good. Greater good. Theirs. I left her to her compact, the mirror cracking under unspoken sins. The media frenzy peaked mid-July, a heat wave that fried tempers and ethics alike. Hargrove hustle trended, memes of Victor as Scrooge, Lydia as Regina George, Jake the sad puppy. My inbox overflowed. Interview requests, death threats from WASP warriors, even a producer sniffing rom drama rights. Mia and I holed up in her Astoria walk-up, plotting over cold cuts and Chianti. Polarizing as fuck, she grinned, scrolling Vitriol. Half call you hero, half harpy.
Hero. Harpy.
The line blurred in my dreams, nightmares of courtrooms morphing to Christmas tables, faces swapping guilt and glee.
DR.
Elena upped my sessions, revenge as catharsis. Or cycle. Choose. Catharsis. I insisted. But Jake's text crept in. Miss you. Therapy's hell. Dad's confessing real talk.
Confessing?
To what? The twist dropped like a summer squall. Anonymous source to the journal. Victor's offshore accounts. Shells hiding not just the 50, but millions skimmed over decades. Tax evasion. Money laundering ties to sketchy donors. Not Lydia's doing his. The patriarch. The pillar. Rotten at the core. Jake's rebellion. A chip off the old block. Or whistleblower's ploy. I confronted him at Coney Island. Boardwalk ghosts under a bruised sky. Freak waves crashed. Hot dogs sizzled. The cyclone screamed overhead. He looked gaunt. Wind-whipped. Dad's panicking. SEC's involved, for real this time. And you. Salt air stung my eyes. Part of it. He shook his head.
Fierce.
Exposing it. With you. The diary burned in my mind, his hand in Lydia's theft. Then why me? Why hang the noose? Pride, he admitted, voice swallowed by the surf. Thought I could control it. Like him. He grabbed my hands. Calloused from.
What? Sailing?
Help me end it. Together. Together. The word tempted. A siren's call amid the carnival din. Polarizing choice. Ally with the betrayer against the beast. Or burn it all solo. I pulled away. Heart fracturing. Prove it. Testify against him. He nodded. Eyes fierce. I will. August brought indictments, Victor's. Not just slaps, but cuffs. Perp walk for the cameras. Evelyn sold the estate, fleeing to Palm Beach with tales of betrayal. Lydia relapsed. Checked into a Swiss clinic on the down low. Jake flipped fully prosecution witness. Spilling ledgers like confetti. The press crowned me, the woman who toppled titans, but trolls dubbed me gold-digging Grinch. Court dragged into fall. Leaves turning traitor gold. My probation lifted. Records sealed. Victory lap. Bittersweet. Jake sought me out post-testimony. Outside the courthouse. Rain sheeting like tears. It's over. He's pleading. We can. I stepped back. Puddles splashing. You flipped on me. On them. Who's next? You, he whispered. If you let me. The debate raged internal. Forgive the flawed prince. Or walk into my own dawn. Mia voted walk, Mom. Forgive.
DR.
Elena, your story. Your pen. I chose. Complication.
Dinner.
Neutral ground. A diner echoing our start. Over burgers and shakes. We dissected the wreckage. His therapy confessions. My guarded hopes. No rings. No rushes, just tentative threads. Betrayal's scar tissue. Tough but flexible. But Evelyn's ghost lingered. A letter arrived, postmarked Palm Beach. You won, Hannah. But at what cost? He's lost everything because of you.
Cost.
The greater good.
Flipped. Polarizing to the end.
Fall in New York is a con artist's sleight of hand, crisp air masking the chill to come. Golden hour gilding the rot beneath. Victor's plea deal hit the wires like a dud firework. 15 months in a white-collar spa, club fed in Otisville, plus restitution and a lifetime ban from finance. The Hargrove name, once synonymous with quiet power, became punchline fodder on late-night monologues. From hedge funds to hot water, Victor Hargrove's Yuletide yippee-ki-yay. Evelyn decamped permanently, selling stories to Vanity Fair about the fall of an American dynasty, casting herself as the tragic widow-in-waiting. Lydia vanished into the ether of trust fund exile, rumors of a tell-all bubbling from Monte Carlo dives. Jake and we danced a hesitant tango on the fault lines. No grand reunion, just coffee dates in nondescript spots. Therapy-mandated check-ins where we picked at scabs under fluorescent hum. He was changed, the sailboat sold. The loft sublet. Crashing on a buddy's couch in Williamsburg. Rock bottom's freeing, he'd say. Eyes clear but shadowed. I nodded. But trust was a house of cards. One gust from collapse. My life, meanwhile, bloomed in the ashes. The lawsuit settled out of court, 7 figures. Enough to buy a co-op in Crown Heights and seed a design firm. Clients trickled in, nonprofits hungry for authentic voices, the kind probation forges. Mia partnered up, her paralegal chops turning our outfit into a hybrid, art meets advocacy. Revenge Incorporated, she joked over takeout foe. Next client, takedown of Big Pharma?
Tempting.
But the high faded into routine, and doubts crept like ivy. Late nights. Scrolling old photos, Jake and me at Fire Island. Salt-kissed and stupid. I wondered, was the revenge mine? Or theirs by proxy? Victor's fall exposed, not just fraud, but a web of donor dirt, PACs funding anti-abortion crusades while laundering from opioid pushers. Controversial? Hell yes. Protesters picketed the old Hargrove offices, talking heads debated on scene. Whistleblower or wrecking ball?
Me.
The ball. The real twist slithered in November. Pie-scented and perfidious. Jake invited me to his new place, a studio in Bushwick. Exposed pipes and all for Thanksgiving. Low-key, he promised. Just us. Mia if she bails. And a bird from the bodega. I went, wary as a stray, bearing cranberry sauce from Zabbers like an olive branch. The apartment smelled of sage and second chances. Windows fogged against the early dark. We cooked side by side, him basting, me chopping, laughter bubbling tentative. Wine loosened tongues, stories flowed of futures unscarred. Travel, he mused, carving the turkey. Backpack Europe. No trusts, just trails. I smiled, clinking glasses.
Deal.
But I picked the hostels. Dessert brought the serpent. A knock. Insistent. Jake frowned, expected, and opened to Evelyn. Coat dusted with flurries. A pie tin in mittened hands. Surprise, she trilled, voice brittle as the crust. Behind her, Lydia, gaunt, glowing, 6 months clean bracelet glinting. The air sucked out. Jake froze. I gripped my fork like a shank. Mom, what the? Family Thanksgiving, Evelyn cooed. breezing past with maternal steamroll. We read your texts, Jacob. About healing. Healing. As if pumpkin pie patched perjury. Lydia hovered, eyes downcast, repentant, or rehearsed. Hey.
Han. Can we talk, Han?
Like we were sorority sisters, not scorched earth. I bolted to the fire escape, lungs burning. The city sprawl a glittering accusation below. Jake followed,
Pleading. They ambushed me.
I swear. His hand on my shoulder, warm, familiar, stirred the storm. Let em in. One meal. One meal. The Christmas gifts echo. And then what? More charity? More flips? Wind howled, carrying distant sirens.
He sighed.
Defeated. They're broken. Han. Like me. Mercy.
Mercy.
The word polarized. A knife's edge. Inside. Voices murmured, Evelyn's honeyed commands. Lydia's halting apologies. I re-entered.
Stealing.
The table was set. Mismatched plates a mockery of normalcy. We sat. Tension thick as gravy. Small talk stuttered. Weather. Football. How's the firm? Evelyn dominated. Pivoting to praise. Your settlement, well-deserved. Victors. Reflecting. Reflecting. In a cell with a view. Lydia cracked first. Fork trembling. I was wrong. About everything. The money.
You.
Jake told me. How you covered.
Covered.
As if it were a favor, not a felony. Spare me, I said, voice low. You knew. The diary, your entries. Jake's too. Her eyes widened, genuine shock. Diary? I burned that shit in rehab. Burned.
Lie.
Or lost. Evelyn interjected. Smooth. Ancient history.
Dears.
Let's toast to new beginnings. Glasses raised. But mine stayed down. Jake's gaze begged, play along. The pie came.
À la mode.
Evelyn's recipe, pecans from Georgia kin. A family lore staple. One bite. And memory flooded. That Christmas. The spiked eggnog. The Benjamin's lap. Speaking of new, I said, casual as venom. How's Victor? Send my regards to Otisville. Tell him the charity worked wonders. Evelyn's fork paused midair. Lydia choked on a laugh, nervous.
Edged.
Jake tensed. Han. No, I pressed, the room shrinking. Let's air it. All of it. Lydia's theft. Jake's cover. Victor's laundromat. My fall. Your greater good. Words tumbled. A dam breach. Evelyn's face calcified. This is Thanksgiving. Not trial too. Trial? I laughed. Sharp. You wrote the script. I just ad-libbed the ending. Lydia slammed her napkin down. You think you're saint? You profited, lawsuit millions. While we scrape?
Scrape.
From a penthouse crawl space. Profited. Heat rose. Fork clattering. 3 years blacklisted. Scraping me. You stole my life. Jake intervened. Voice cracking. Stop.
Both sides wrong. All wrong.
His eyes darted, family.
Me.
The pie congealing. Flip again? The air crackled. Decisions hanging. Evelyn rose. Imperious. We're leaving. Jacob. Call when you've decided. decided. Like I was the variable. They swept out, door clicking shut like a guillotine. Silence descended, broken only by the fridge's hum. Jake slumped, head in hands. Ruined it. Again. I stood, coat in hand. Not ruined. Revealed. But as I reached the door, he grabbed my wrist, gentle, desperate.
Stay.
Fight with me. Not against. The plea hung. Controversial core. Unite against the matriarch's machinations. Or sever for solo sovereignty. Rain pattered. A Morse code of maybes. I hesitated, then pulled free. Decide yourself.
Jake.
I'm done choosing for you. Outside. The subway swallowed me. Thanksgiving lights mocking from brownstones. Mia's text pinged. Survived? Or nuked? Nuked. I replied. But alive. December loomed. Anniversary of the spike. Victor's sentencing gala, of sorts, approached. Holiday hearing. Judges in robes like Santa's elves. Jake testified again. Character witness turned confessor. My father's actions. Irreparable harm.
Harm.
To empire. Or ethics. I watched from the gallery. Anonymous in the pews. Heart a war zone. Polarization peaked. Forgive the flip-flop. Embrace the flawed arc? Or walk. Whole but hollow. The judge's gavel fell. 2 years. Concurrent with Fed time. Victor's nod, stoic. Shattered, mirrored Jake's in the hall after. It's done, he said. Finding me in the crush. All of it, not all. My voice.
Steady. Us.
He searched my face. Rain-slick streets reflecting in his eyes. Your call. The twist. No tidy bow. I kissed him, brief. Electric, then stepped back.
Time.
Real time. No scripts. He nodded. Broken smile. Fair. Winter wrapped the city in its iron grip. January's bite sharper than any blade I'd wielded. The Hargrove saga faded to footnotes. Victor's appeals denied. Evelyn's memoir deal tanking amid libel suits. Lydia's recovery. Instagram a curated lie of yoga poses and green juices. Jake and I, we orbited. Cautious comets. Texts turning to calls. Calls to walks in snow-dusted parks where breath fogged like unspoken fears. No labels. No leases, just the slow thaw of trust. One unburnt bridge at a time. My firm flourished. A phoenix of pixels and purpose. We rebranded. Riley Advocacy Design. Logos for the underdogs, immigrant co-ops. Me Too nonprofits. Mia ran ops. Her tattooed efficiency a counterpoint to my polished pitches. You're glowing, she said one February morning, handing me a latte amid mock-ups. Hargrove haunting lifted? Mostly. I sipped. Steam curling. But ghosts lingered. That diary. Lydia's denial. Burned. She'd claimed. Yet pages haunted my safe, insurance, or indictment. Spring equinox brought the reckoning. Jake's birthday, low-key loft party and his Bushwick rebuild. Fairy lights strung like hesitant hope. I arrived with cake from Levine. Chocolate chip towers of temptation. The crowd was eclectic, his therapy group misfits. My designer crew. A smattering of ex-Hargrove strays who jumped ship post-scandal. Laughter echoed off brick. Beer flowed from a kegerator he'd won in a bar bet. He found me by the window. Skyline jagged against dusk. You came. His arms slipped around my waist, familiar. Fraught. Wouldn't miss 30 in the fire. I leaned in. scent of him, soap and sawdust, stirring embers. We danced, slow to a playlist of Springsteen and Lana, bodies sinking like old code. Then, the knock. Again. Jake groaned. Pizza? But open to cops. 2 detectives. Badges glinting. Faces etched with overtime wear. Jacob Hargrove? Need a word. The room hushed. Party popped like a popped lung. My stomach dropped. What now? Victor's co-conspirators flipping? Jake paled. Me? What's? Arson, the lead said. Notebook flipping. Your old man's storage unit.
Torched last week.
Prints on the can yours.
Can. Gasoline.
Prints. Gasps rippled. Mia's hand gripped mine. Nails digging. Jake stammered. Storage? Haven't been near since the move. But his eyes flicked. To me? No. To the door, where a shadow lurked. Lydia. Uninvited. Coat askew. Eyes wild. You, he breathed. She stepped in, unbidden. The party parting like Red Sea rejects. Had to, she hissed. Voice slurred, pilled. Dad's files, insurance scam. He hid evidence there. Blame you. Get the payout. Clean break.
Clean break.
From what? The web she'd spun anew? Chaos erupted. Cops cuffing her. Protests from Evelyn, summoned by who? Screaming, my baby. Jake reeled. Betrayed anew. You framed me? After everything? Lydia laughed. Manic. Karma.
Bro.
You flipped on Dad. I flip on you.
Flip.
The family curse. I stood frozen. The diary's weight phantom in my purse. Had she planted it? Faked the entries to bait me? Or truth? Twisted? Detectives turned. MS. Riley? You were seen nearby.
Seen.
By whom? Evelyn's spies? My alibis held. Mia's vouch. CCTV from the firm. But suspicion lingered. A stain.
Outside.
Sirens wailed. Party dissolved to whispers. Jake collapsed against me. Sobs muffled in my shoulder. Everyone flips. Even her. Not everyone. I held him. The circle closing. But the twist gnawed. What if I'd sparked it? My revenge. The catalyst for her desperation? Charges stuck. Arson. Fraud. Conspiracy. Lydia plea bargained to 5. Shipped to a women's lockup upstate. Evelyn lawyered fierce. But the well ran dry, assets frozen. Victor. From his cell. Wrote Jake. Blood tells. Beware the blade it turns. Summer solstice. We fled to the Cape, Jake's borrowed cottage. Waves crashing judgment. No rings. But promises. Therapy tandem. Truths tattooed. I flipped once, he confessed over clams. Sunset bleeding red. Never again. Swear it. I traced his palm. Scars from sailing ropes. Or I walk. Sworn.
Kiss sealed.
Salt tanged. Fall harvested peace. Firm expanded. Brooklyn Co-op ours. Joint lease. Cautious claim. Holidays loomed. Thanksgiving tentative. Christmas armored. No spiked nog. No charity traps. Just us. Pie from scratch. Ghosts exorcised.
But the end?
No tidy catharsis. New Year's Eve. Times Square crush. Ball dropping like fate's verdict. Jake proposed, not diamond, but a key. To the door we build together. I hesitated. Crowd roaring. Polarizing pinnacle. Yes to the flipper redeemed. Or no to the risk. Yes, I whispered. Key cold in palm. But as fireworks bloomed, doubt flickered. Lydia's trial loomed. Her testimony a wild card. Jake knew the files. Hid them for me.
Lie?
Or the final flip. Debate eternal. Happy in the haze. Or tragic undercurrents. We danced into dawn. Uncertain saints. Revenge's echo, no winners. Just survivors. And in America's grind. That might be victory enough. Epilogue whispers. Evelyn's memoir dropped. Fractured fortunes. Painting me the schemer. Jake the martyr. Sales spiked. Debates raged on pods. Hero or homewrecker? I laughed over brunch with Mia. Key glinting. Both. And neither. Life rolled on. Design awards. A dog named Spike. Nights tangled in sheets unmarred by secrets. But the scar itched. What if the next flip's mine? Controversial close. In Betrayal's theater. We're all directors. All dupes. And the curtain? It never fully falls.